StarCraft. We've seen GG play some good StarCraft. I know we had NC Yellow for a while. We've had July Zerg, but in my opinion, Savior is definitely the king of Zergs. The level of play that he exhibited at his dominance, I just don't think I've seen such force, such brutality from any Zerg player as I've seen from Savior. But I've got to say, I think Flash is probably wondering where this old Savior has emerged from, and this is the old Savior that kicked Flash's butt big time back the first time they met, where Savior caught Flash off guard and he finished him off in, I think, about 2 or 3 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes at the most, with the speed upgrade at Zergling Rush, hiding that speed upgrade from Flash. And I think that was on Fantasy, the original Fantasy, and Flash just had no answers. And that was what Flash's first season. When I know a lot of people initially said that Flash was a bit of a cheese monster. Flash has now got that siege tank out. Flash just literally just bunkering up for a defense, and Savior is just pulling away. And I just don't think there's any hope for Flash to come back in this game against unless Savior makes some sort of a massive error. He's now got Flash hemmed him in his base. He's got the lurkers up, and he can just move back with the lurkers. Flash doesn't look like he's anywhere ready to get a science vessel. He's building a science facility, but it doesn't have science vessel yet. Savior, meanwhile, has set up another expansion, I believe, at the 9 o'clock position. So Savior just booming away in his economy. He has got map control, has got Flash pinned back in his base in a corner, and it's just a matter of time. Flash obviously refusing to concede. He's now got that science facility up, so he should be popping that science vessel soon. But Savior is now able to harvest that economy. He's just going into overdrive mode now. You can see about 6 Hydralisk morphing to lurkers. But yeah, a lot of people said Flash was a cheese monster first in when he saw. I never believed that. I never thought that. I mean, I don't think players who cheese necessarily are cheese monsters. I think a lot of people were just annoyed because their favorite Protoss player, Bisu, got undone by Flash's cheese 2 times in a row, and I don't think it was cheese. I personally think it was just inspirational strategy and just bold kind of play. I mean, if Boxer had done the exact same thing that Flash had done, I don't think anyone at the time would have been saying that it was just pure cheese. People would have been lauding him for how great it was. And this is where maybe Savior has made one tiny mistake. He doesn't have any Scourges. A couple of Scourges there under that Mutalisk screen would have been great, because he would have polished off that science vessel. And just as I say it, the Scourges appear, just as I say it. And if Savior can take that science vessel down, it's going to be very difficult for Flash. Flash getting the scan off, realizing the Scourges are there, being very careful with that science vessel, and Flash just not able to. The longer Flash stays pinned in, the more difficult this is going to be for him. And now Flash is able to siege those lurkers. Savior's just going to pull them a little bit back up the ramp and position them there. The Scourge is going in. This is another sign. Flash actually gets an irradiate off one of the Mutalisks. Savior not really controlling those Mutalisks well. He's just going to lose all of his forces here. That was the relatively poor control of his forces by Savior. I don't understand why he didn't pull those Mutalisks back, but I guess he's happy enough just delaying Flash for now. He's now setting up an expansion at the 12 o'clock position, just continuing to expand all of the map. And again, a little bit rusty from play from Savior. I don't think we would have seen the old Savior waste 2 Scourges the way Savior just lost those 2 Scourges, just setting them up after that science vessel in a very obvious manner. Flash just luring them into his group of Medic and Marines. But Savior has got such a massive advantage of economy and ground forces that I just think Flash is really going to struggle. Flash now fighting a running battle. He's positioned at 1 siege tank, so the lurkers are now within range of that siege tank. He's losing most of his Medic and Marine force, and now the Scourges come in, and that is Savior! And that is Savior, folks! That is Savior. He takes out the 2 siege tanks, he takes out half the Medic and Marine force, and he picks off the science vessel, and then moves back, leaving the Terran player to lick his wounds. And that is the kind of play that we expect from a player like Savior. That is the kind of coordination and timing attack that we expect from Savior. Flash obviously didn't have enough forces and Flash only now getting. I think again the other conventional wisdom that I'm aware of is that you need to have about 8 racks up by the time the opponent has defilers. It's certainly not the case in Flash for Flash, because Savior has got those defilers up. But I think he's maybe rushing into this attack a little bit. I guess he wants to protect the expansion of the 6 o'clock position, and he's going to take out the second science vessel as well. Savior polishes off that science vessel, buying himself enough time with the lurkers and Zerglies to polish off that science vessel. I guess he doesn't have defiler energy, enough defiler energy to actually be able to push forward. So unfortunate for Flash, he's going to get taken out here, and he's fought reasonably well. He hasn't made too many mistakes, but unfortunately his starting strategy was undone, and Savior is just too good to lose the game after having such a strong initial advantage. But I suppose Savior hasn't really been tested yet. What we want to see is an even game between the 2 players, and only then will we be able to tell how much of his old self Savior has regained, and Savior just trying to pick that science vessel up. Flash maneuvering his units excellently away, with a small skeleton force holding off a much larger Zerg force. But really at this point I think Savior's reached critical mass, and it's going to be impossible for Flash to really stop him. And Flash is just trying to slow him down and delay him. And he's now pulling the science vessel out, so now Savior unfortunately doesn't have any further Scourges left to polish off that science vessel. And again, just little things like that are are the things that make the difference between Savior at his peak and Savior not at his peak, and Savior being the great player that he is, and Savior being just a good Zerg player that is tough to contend with. But even on a day when he's slightly average, Savior is a force to be reckoned with. This is again a little bit careless for Savior, sending in 4 Scourges, and again, I think at this stage Savior's lost about 8 Scourges that didn't do damage. He's picked off 2 Science Vessels, yes, but he's lost about 8 Scourges. Again, that's a worrying sign for players looking for a return to Savior's era of dominance. I don't know if we will ever see that again, but the only good thing, the only good omen from this is it looks like Flash is going to have more than just Jaedong to contend with in terms of Zerg opponents. Certainly, no Protoss player has really troubled him. Stork was just a pushover, unfortunately, choking once again in front of Flash. Flash is now getting his 8th racks up, but just his economy is just nowhere near where it needs to be. And Savior once again losing another 3 or 4 Scourges. Just homing in on Flash's first person view. And look at that, brilliant by Flash. You can just see that he is playing some great StarCraft. I wonder if he maybe underestimated Savior. I don't know why he went for that 2 racks, which we know that Flash, and unfortunately this is the problem with players who are audacious, players like Boxer and Flash, even Savior to an extent, that they do sometimes go for the riskier strategies, and when they pull them off, they're spectacular and amazing and just exciting StarCraft. Unfortunately, when they don't, they leave themselves with a lot to do in a very difficult position. Yet again, Savior could have used those Scourges there had he been able to conserve them. Flash is trying to push up with American Marine Force and try and neutralize some of Savior's economic advantage. Obviously, he has no chance of doing that, and it's just really, I guess it's just the fact that Savior isn't at his peak that he's struggling to finish Flash off, and that Flash is playing some decent StarCraft. But once again, another group, and I guess it's just going to take the Ultralisk to break that defense that Flash has. Savior has got 1, 2, 3, 4 expansions, I believe, to Flash's 1. I'm not sure if Flash has actually managed to set up an expansion to the 3 o'clock base. I think he might have, looking at the minimap. Savior once again pushing forward, trying to gain purchase on that ramp where Flash has been holding it. Flash does have that expansion up and running at the 3 o'clock position, and now he's setting up an expansion down at the 5 o'clock position. I just don't think it's going to be enough, unfortunately, for him. So brilliant play by Savior. Not perfect StarCraft, not the kind of StarCraft that we're used to seeing from the Jesus Zerg, but pretty solid StarCraft nonetheless, and I think he's given Flash something to ponder, and I think this win will give him a lot of confidence. It will do a world of good. Really, Bluestorm is a map that I think Zerg players should do well on, and I think Savior would have really, and a play goes off, catching off a couple of Science Vessel Flash, and I think Savior would have really struggled to recover if he'd been destroyed by Flash on Bluestorm, and Flash really just stalling for time at this point in time, trying to find a way back in this game, and I think Saviour's just waiting for those Ultralisks to get up there before he just polishes Flash off. He's got control of most of the map, he's got control of the middle of the map. Flash tried the tank push, it failed. Savior going in now this time, and this time he's going to try and get a shield lurkers up. But Flash, yet again, taking minimal damage from that, pulling his units back just in time, absorbing those Scourges, and Savior not really, another great play again from Savior, this time catching 3 of Flash's Science Vessels. But I think Flash was very clever in that he brought the Science Vessels forward that were already plagued, and another plague goes off. Wow, Savior just very liberal with those plagues, and he's laying the hurt on Flash, and all we need is a Mutalisk to sweep in and polish off those Science Vessels. So Savior trying to get purchased up that ramp, trying to get in there and wreak havoc. I guess he's just, again, we need those Ultralisks up. Once those Ultralisks are up, I really don't see what Flash is going to be able to do about this. Flash now trying to find a way around to that 6 o'clock expo. The Ultralisks are up, they're not speed upgraded yet, and I'd say Saviour's probably going to wait for that before he commits himself, or actually he might not need to. He just has such a huge force compared to the size of the force that Flash has that he should just walk in and just polish him off. I think he probably wouldn't even need to. The macro advantage that Savior has built up, he probably wouldn't even need to micro his units. He probably wouldn't even need to coordinate them. He just needs to almost attack move them to finish off his opponent. And it looks almost like he's doing that. And this time he makes better use of the Scourges. Mutalisk, again, he committed them a little bit early. He should have waited. Flash, really, you could just see how impeccable Flash's micro is here. Fighting with a minimum amount of forces, really, this really is almost Battle of 300 play by Flash. Pulling back, taking down the Mutalisk, taking down the Scourges, using the Science Vessels to maximum effect, not allowing his units to really get pinned in, and using the map and the terrain to maximum advantage. And again, he manages to survive and hold off what is a juggernaut-sized force of Savior. Savior, though, does have control of the middle of the map, crucially now, and Flash just doesn't have the production to keep up. And again, it's just, as I said, it's just a question of time before Savior ends this game, and he's edging towards it ever more. I think he's going to have those Ultralisks probably upgraded by now. Flash has got 2-2, and that's a huge thing. Flash has got 2-2 armor and attack upgrades on his Reens. Savior only has 1-1 upgrade, I think. and that probably is why Flash has been so successful in defending. Those superior upgrades really allowing him to hold the Zerg forces. That we do know how powerful Marines get against, how powerful a bio build is against Zergs with significant upgrades. Savior has sneaked into Flash finding GG. Savior sneaks into Flash's natural expo with the Zerglings. So Savior polishing Flash off. Great StarCraft by Savior. I'm looking forward to what he's going to do in the rest of the series. I'm not sure when I'll be posting them up, but look forward to them for me soon, guys. Thanks for listening. This is Klazart.